Many people think that improvising a melody is hard, but it's not. There are just 3 notes that you need to know and a few easy rules. Let's dive in. Let's say you want to write a melody in C major. You have 7 notes that you could play now. They are all the right keys starting from C. The most important note is the C. It's the first note of the scale. The 1 will always sound good because it's the home note of your scale. Many melodies will start or end here. So the 1 is easy, but what about the other notes? For all the other notes, we just have one question. Does this note sound good in relation to the 1? And there is a surprising answer to that, which has to do with acoustics and sound. Let's pick a stringed instrument like a cello. And now we play a C. As you can see here, the first frequency peak is around 131 Hz, which is C2. It's also called the fundamental. So that's not a surprise. When we play a C, we hear C. But there are also other peaks which happen in the higher octaves. Let's take a look. The next one is at C3, which is simply 1 octave above the first peak. Also no surprise here, because it's the same note, just 1 octave higher. But the next peak is interesting. It is a G3. So when we play a C on the cello, we not only hear C, but also other notes. These are the so-called overtones. They shape the sound of an instrument. The closer they are to the fundamental, the more important and powerful they are. So the G is a very harmonious and important note. When I play a G on top of a C, we can see that it simply amplifies some peaks, but it's still in tune with the original sound. And the G is also part of the C major scale. It's the 5th note of the scale. So this is our next important note. Let's go on. Here is another C, and here is an E4. The E is our next important note. It is the 3rd note of C major. So here are our 3 most important notes, 1, 5, 3. They all sound very stable. And when we move that to F major, it's still 1, 5, 3, which will be F, C and A in this case. So whatever you do, always remember 1, 5, 3 and you know which notes are very safe and stable on that scale. But what about the other notes? If you play only on the safe notes, your melody will sound boring quite fast. You want to play other scale notes as well. This will create some tension because these notes sound less stable than the 1, 5, 3. They sound like they need to move to another note to resolve the tension. Here's an example. Let me play a 1, 3, 5. I can play the last note as long as I like. It sounds very stable. And now I play 1, 3, 5, 6. As you can hear, the last note doesn't sound stable at all. It sounds like it wants to go somewhere else. But what note should you play next? This one is easy. Simply move to a close stable note from your 1, 5, 3 collection. For example, now I play 1, 3, 5, 6 and I will go from 6 to 5 again. In many cases, people will resolve down, but make sure that you go up from time to time to make things more interesting. There's only one special case, and this is note number 7. The 7 will, in most cases, lead up to the 8, which is our first note, but 1 octave higher. It's really a very strong pull. Let's listen. So this is everything you need to know to jam on the major scale. And the same technique works for the minor scale as well. It's also 1, 5, 3. The C and the G are both part of C minor as well, so 1 and 5 are a perfect fit. The E is not part of C minor, but E flat, which is the 3rd note, is close enough. So it's 1, 5, 3 again, and the other more unstable notes want to move to a closer stable note. Some bonus tips: you don't need to move from unstable to stable at once. You can also play other quick notes in between and then move to the stable bass. For example, I play 1, 3, 5, 6 again, and then I want to move from 6 to 5, but I add another 4 in between. And the second bonus tip, of course you can also add larger jumps from time to time. Moving to close stable notes keeps everything flowing, but working with jumps will add some nice contrast. So using the 1-5-3 technique is quite easy. However, remembering the right scale notes can be a pain. But here's a trick for electronic music producers. I created a MIDI plugin called MelodicFlow. You put it between your MIDI keyboard and your synth. MelodicFlow will make sure that your notes stay on scale. It will transform your input on the fly and send it to your other synth. Open the plugin and choose the mode White Keys Jam. And now you can play any scale that you like on the white keys. Simply choose your scale here, for example E minor. And now you can play it on the white keys starting from the middle C. The middle C will always represent your first scale note. So the C is the 1, which in this case will play an E. And now you can jam around without thinking twice. Simply stick to the 1-5-3 technique, whatever scale you use. You can't go wrong here.